Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of BrianViews. I'm your host, Brian Henderson. As you can see from the video image on the screen over my shoulder, that this episode of BrianViews will be focusing on the ordeal surrounding the domestic violence case of NFL star running back for the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Rice. His Baltimore Ravens incidentally took down my Pittsburgh Steelers in a Thursday night exhibition, and still feeling the effects of that. However, hats off to the Baltimore Ravens and their organization. They were obviously inspired by the ordeal surrounding their star running back, and this is one of the things that propelled them to victory. However, also along with these questionable officiating, but I'm not going to get into that. Hats off once again to the organization, the Baltimore Ravens, for rallying around their player and their comrade. This show will be, I want to focus on the deflective tactics of the American media, because it is obvious to me and anyone else who is conscious that they're simply using Ray Rice and this domestic violence case to shift the focus from the crisis at hand. And of course, the crisis at hand that I am talking about is these numerous police assaults on unarmed black civilians around the United States. The American media is very clever in doing this. This incident of domestic violence, to my understanding, is isolated incidents in terms of Ray Rice as a person. However, it is to be said that it's not an isolated incident in the NFL or other professional athletics. There was several other domestic violence cases just in the NFL as of recent. But as I just mentioned, this is not an isolated incident with these domestic violence cases. Domestic violence cases extend a considerable amount of time in the NFL's annals of history. But a lot of these cases of domestic violence involved individuals who were not people of color. So therefore, they were not exposed. The cases were not exposed and exploited. This case with Ray Rice and his domestic violence is only been exploited, as I mentioned, to shift the American public's focus from the situation at hand. Now, I was on social media the other day, and there was this white police officer in Tampa Bay, Florida, and he had arrested this black woman who was homeless. And she was hogtied. I'll explain that. Hogtied, for those of you out there in the listening audience who are not familiar with the term, she was handcuffed with her hands behind her back, and her feet were shackled and pulled back to her hands. And she was restrained with a belt in the middle that connected the cuffs and the shackles. Hogtied. So she was fully restrained and fully incapacitated. Once the arresting officer removed the adjoining belt from around her waist, she was hoisted to her knees and then dragged across the concrete floor of the police precinct's parking garage. And this video, if you watch it, it should be shocking to the senses, far more shocking than this incident involving Ray Rice punching his then fiance. However, this did not make it to CNN News. It didn't make it to C-SPAN. It is not a major topic. Along with other video images of police officers attacking black females, slamming them face down on the concrete in their communities. And it's just rampant with attacks against black people's civil rights, including black women. But this has not called for an outcry from women in general across the United States. But everybody's calling for an outcry of injustice against the NFL, because they feel that the NFL allegedly tried to cover up the incident involving Ray Rice's domestic violence case. I will say that I'm not advocating this incident surrounding Ray Rice and his domestic violence case. I have never been known for being involved in cases of domestic violence myself, so I do not condone his actions. However, I'm not here to persecute this young brother, because as I mentioned, it's an isolated incident and everyone makes mistakes. However, I do not feel that he deserved to be suspended indefinitely for his mistakes when you have white police officers who body slam unarmed black females face down on the concrete and are allowed to keep their jobs. It is just deflective tactics, once again, by the American media to distract the attention from the crisis at hand. And for those out there who are conscious, I'm pretty sure that you're well aware of this, and it's just my job to try to bring other people up to point and make them conscious and aware of the American media and their crafty tactics. Well, that is all I have for this special edition of BrianViews. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you have any ideas for any future shows, please feel free to post it on my page. But until next time, you have been tuned in to BrianViews. I'm your host, Brian Henderson, and I'm out.